we've reached the point in the offseason where people are now looking at who Justin Fields is following and or unfollowing on Instagram. We're going to talk a little bit about today with Justin Fields and him and reportedly unfollowing the Chicago Bears on Instagram and how that sent like Bears fandom in a tizzy and things like that. There's also some doubt if that actually did happen. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Atlanta Falcons' chances of trading for Justin Fields, and the franchise tag window is open. What could this mean for Jaylon Johnson? All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Tara Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And so late last night, Justin Fields reportedly unfollowed the Chicago Bears on Instagram, which led so much speculation, think pieces, what it could mean. Justin Fields is clearly leaving the Chicago Bears because he unfollowed the Chicago Bears on Instagram. Oh my God, cats and dogs living together. It's been crazy. But with that said, there's also now been some doubt spread upon if he ever really did follow the Chicago Bears. Now, looking at it, Chicago Bears is still in his bio. The profile picture is still of him in a Bears uniform. He's still following Chicago Bears players. He's still following the Chicago Bears on Twitter. I'm never calling it X. All those things still remain there, so now there's some doubt with it. Now, he also recently followed Atlanta Falcons players in Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. So again, people are kind of assuming this, that, hey, Justin Fields is clearly leaving the Chicago Bears and he's going to the Atlanta Falcons. What could this possibly mean? At the end of the day, it's another thing that people are looking for. Everybody's watching the situation closely. And while I can't say personally, I don't look at who grown men follow. It's not something that I do. So I don't know if he followed or unfollowed the Chicago Bears. It is what it is when it comes down to. It seems like he's still following them everywhere else. So I don't know why he would stop at it just being on Instagram where he doesn't really post that much. But hey, maybe it is something there. Maybe Justin Fields has officially been notified that he will be moved. And that's going to happen. Like I said, cats and dogs living together. It's crazy. But, at the end of the day, the national media and media in general is going to look for what they did, what they can for signs. And everybody's kind of looking to see, what are the Chicago Bears doing? What is the future of Justin Fields? Everything is going to happen. But, it is what it is. Now, with that said, actual news is that reportedly the Chicago Bears staffers got a lot of inquiries of trying to gauge the availability of Justin Fields, trying to see what the Chicago Bears are doing at the Senior Bowl, which really shouldn't be anything too surprising, right? The Bears also kind of doing their due diligence like this. Reportedly, the Bears are going to be meeting over the next couple of weeks to finalize their plans for what they're going to do with the quarterback situation. And the team that has kind of been circling or kind of always been included in rumors for Justin Fields is the Atlanta Falcons, right? This is a team that has been mentioned a lot when it comes down to Justin Fields. And when you think about it, there's a scheme fit there for Justin Fields. You look at the fact that they hired Zach Robinson, who does like to run. He focuses on the run game very, very heavily. And when you look at adding him to players that we mentioned that he's following, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, that team could potentially have high-level skill positions high-level skilled players at every position, and it could be something. Now, they have an offensive line that would be an upgrade from what the Chicago Bears have given Justin Fields over his next couple of years, and there's clearly some fit there when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons and their interest potentially in Justin Fields if the Chicago Bears do move him. Still have the doubts there, but it is what it is, right? So it's naturally asked, are the Atlanta Falcons the best fit for Justin Fields if the Bears do decide to move on from him? At one point it was rumored that the Bears could get the Falcons' number 8 overall pick. That's been debunked. The Bears probably going to get a first-round pick back for Justin Fields. Now, if the Bears do decide to move him, we've talked about the Bears do want a second-round pick. I think the Bears truly do want to get into the second round of this draft. I think they just do. But with that said, will they get into the second round of this draft? Will they be in trading the number 1 overall pick? Will be trading Justin Fields? The Atlanta Falcons sit there with players that the Bears could be interested in. They also have a cap situation that is promising next season. So if they do need to pick up the 5th-year option of Justin Fields, the Falcons can do that without it like causing them or crippling them cap wise. And then they have a clear need at quarterback. Now, could they go after quarterbacks in free agency and Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins? Could they be going after some of those guys? Potentially, but that comes at a higher cost and an even bigger cap hit to them. So I do expect the Falcons to be interested in Justin Fields if the Bears do decide to move him. I don't know if they're going to offer the best package back for Justin Fields, but again, where he's from, really high skill positions that can fit Zach Robinson's type of play calling scheme and things like that. It all makes sense. The biggest thing is, will the Bears do that, and will the Falcons offer the best package for Justin Fields going forward? We'll end up seeing what happens with that. Yeah, again, I'm not doing a whole bunch of talk around the quarterback conversation, right? I am going to talk about news. So when news does happen, I will talk about that news. And, the Justin Fields following, as much as I don't want it to be news, because again, I like, it's weird to me where I sit to talk about a grown ass man following or unfollowing somebody on social media. But at the end of the day, there is something to be said to that. Now in the modern day of sports, that kind of happens. It is something that you kind of got to look out for. These young players do. Sometimes it is an indication of what could happen or what they're looking at or what they've been told or interest. So it could be that. So we'll end up seeing what happens with that one. But outside of that portion of football, today opens up the franchise tag window for the Chicago Bears and all teams around the NFL. And the only really franchise tag a possibility for the Chicago Bears, I guess they can use it on anybody who's a potential free agent, but it's Jaylon Johnson, right? The Bears could place the franchise tag on Jaylon Johnson. The last day to place the tag is March 5th. So they have between now and March 5th, which gives them plenty of time to do it. March 5th at 3 p.m. Central Time is when they would have to do it, that is a week before the start of free agency for the NFL. So we are only a couple of weeks away from free agency opening up. Jaylon Johnson is the biggest franchise tag candidate for the Chicago Bears. Now, what that would allow this to do, what it would do is that it'll pay Jaylon Johnson a 1-year salary of $18.4 million, which is kind of where I would like the Bears to sign him at long term anyway. But if they do utilize the franchise tag, it gives them until mid-July to work out a long-term deal. Now, if that deal is not agreed upon, then he would play out the 2024 season with the franchise tag, and that salary, $18.5 million. So is that going to happen? We'll see. There's a possibility. Ryan Poles has outright said that Jaylon Johnson will be back next season, and that could be an indication of, hey, we can't work out a contract. We're going to franchise tag him because we're going to get him back here. That could absolutely be an indication of that if that's what they want to do. But will they? We'll see, man. It'll be something that I'm looking out for. The Bears have a clear need of why it would make sense to franchise tag Jaylon Johnson. and allows them to go ahead and try to negotiate with him over time without really risk losing him, because they don't come to agreement on the contract. You still got them locked in for at least that year, and then maybe you hope to work out something more longer term after that. So there's a lot of options there for the Chicago Bears, but I would say personally that Jaylon Johnson is really the only player on this Bears roster that I can really see them going into using the franchise tag for. We'll end up seeing Jaylon Johnson, somebody who had a great season last year, and as he graded out, I think, is the best corner Pro Football Focus, which is going to get him paid. Again, the grade on Pro Football Focus isn't the only thing. Franchise, transition tag, whatever it ends up being, we'll see. We'll see. But Jaylon Johnson, I think he performed. When the defensive line got better, we saw better out of Jaylon Johnson. He got 4 interceptions last year. And if the Bears, per the video I dropped yesterday, do improve that defensive line, which I do think needs to be a focus this offseason, outside of the other things that they're naturally going to focus on. If that defensive line improves even more, it's going to help increase the standing for that secondary. It's going to help increase or lessen the impact, not impact, but the work that secondary has to do, and just make that synergy go even better. So I think these are things that the Bears are absolutely looking for. Will they franchise tag him? We'll see. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that the Bears will franchise tag Jaylon Johnson? Should they, or should they go into negotiations with good faith and think, hey, we're going to be able to re-sign him here? The Bears have not used the transition tag since 2018. I don't remember the last time they've used the franchise tag, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens with the Chicago Bears if they do end up, coming to a contract extension with Jaylon Johnson. I, for one, hope they do. I know not everyone is kind of on that that side of things, but I hope that they will. Now, another thing that decision that the Chicago Bears may have to make this offseason before we go is what to do with Khalil Herbert. Will they give a contract extension to Khalil Herbert this offseason? And you guys kind of know how I feel about that. I don't think that Ryan Poles is going to pay a running back. I don't foresee it. And I could absolutely be wrong in that. I want to be clear. It's not something where I'm saying that it's going to be a for sure thing that Ryan Poles may not pay Khalil Herbert. I mean, we've seen him extend somebody like Cole Kmet, right? But I think at the end of the day, with the crop of running backs that we see come in the league every single year, you can get a near starting level running back every year in like rounds 5, right? 4 or 5. And if you get lucky, maybe even round 6 if there's some depth there. So, it's some things, but the decision has to be made on it. When you look at it, Khalil Herbert is probably going to get roughly, when you look at like Mike Sanders signed for $6.35 million. David Montgomery signed for $6 million a year. Joe Mixon reduced his salary to $5.7 million a year. So with that said, the market for the running backs, as we know, has been at one of the lowest that we've ever seen it in the history of the game of football. And because of that, there may absolutely be a chance that the Bears just look at it and say, listen, we're not about to pay you. Unfortunately, we love you, Khalil Herbert. We love what you did. You could possibly go out and find another deal elsewhere with another team, but I just don't know if it's going to happen, man. I would love to be able to say that it will, but I can't say that for sure. I just, in reality and in fairness, I can't say for sure that the Chicago Bears will re-sign Khalil Herbert, but it is a question mark going into this offseason. Also, Roschon Johnson, how much do they want to prioritize Roschon next year? Having the new offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron come in, like, how does he plan on using the running backs? Does he want a gadget, kind of do it all back like Roschon Johnson, that he may lean on more heavily than Khalil, and Khalil becomes a specialty player at that point in time, still a useful one. I don't think anybody's going to deny the usefulness of Khalil Herbert, but the system and scheme fit does matter in that time frame as well. So we'll see what the Bears have planned for that. But guys, let me know what you guys think down below on that. We got one voicemail that we're going to get into today. This one's from Darius. Let's go ahead and play that now.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas here, man. I just don't understand why people aren't putting a little bit more emphasis on the offensive line. There's too much talk about the quarterback, man. I just don't get it, because if you sit back and you look at Jared Goff, look at Brock Purdy, they're not special quarterbacks. They're just simply not. And I don't want to shit on them, but they're just not good. They're not that goddamn good. Okay, they have elite offensive lines, man. Why won't people just wrap their head around that? They have elite offensive lines, and that's why that offense, both of those offenses actually ended up having success. Their offensive lines are elite. They both have elite left tackles. Okay, so I don't understand why we're not even talking about that. We're not talking about the fact that if we go get a Fashanu and put him over there, and look what Justin Fields will do with that offensive line if we get Fashanu and hopefully Tevin Jenkins stays healthy. But man, we're so close. We're so freaking close, dude. And we just need to go on, just build that offensive line. We got to start in the trenches. So you keep a guy like Justin Fields and you give him time to throw. Man, I don't know what the hell he's going to do if he had that. If he had Detroit and San Francisco's offensive line, all the doubters would be silenced. Guaranteed, man. So I think we need to gear our attention a hell of a lot more towards the offensive line. Ryan Poles is so close, man. He's so close to building a Super Bowl roster with this thing. And if we could just get a good left tackle, go ahead and Marvin Harrison Jr. or my boy Hayes is going to probably have a brain aneurysm. And then, just keep trading back that number 1 pick every year, man. We got a chokehold on the draft right now. All right, that's super important. We got a chokehold on the draft, man. We sit back and have the number 1 pick every year. We're literally in position to do that and have at least a top 3 pick every year if we just keep trading that sucker back. We got a serviceable quarterback, above serviceable quarterback. We just need to keep on rocking and rolling, man, and just keep building through the trenches first. We get us a 3 technique and a left tackle this year. That is going to be the difference between playoffs or not, in my opinion. Because if you go back and look at the All-22, all of the plays that Justin had breakdowns and couldn't make the throw, most of them were due to the fact that he had somebody in his lap as soon as he hiked the fucking ball. And why I don't know. Y'all live up there, man. Y'all tell me, is Chicago still racist or something? Because I'm on my fan page, and I'm seeing the same people that praised Mitch Trubisky all the way to the end. All the way to the end. All right, they're calling Justin a bust. Man, I don't understand the difference. I mean, they both had shit offensive lines. They both didn't have weapons. I don't get what the difference is.
All right, great voicemail from Darius there. I mean, I think that everybody knows that the Bears are going to focus. Even when you look at mocks, I don't think anybody doubts the Bears are going to focus on the offensive line. People are talking about the quarterback because it's the quarterback position and the Bears have the number 1 overall pick. If the Bears didn't, I think the focus would be on the offensive line. But I don't think there's any way that the Bears go through this offseason and through this draft and do not improve on the offensive line considerably. They're going to get players on the offensive line. That's why, like, for example, I say that it does seem like the Bears are really desiring to get into that second round one way or another, because I do think there's a center prospect there that the Bears are probably looking at and saying, this could be our center, our starting center going forward. And so the offensive line will be addressed. And I think the center is going to be one of the focus first. Depth at that point, that depth could come in free agency or could come in the draft, but best believe, Darius, that the offensive line will be addressed in a way. There's too many really talented offensive linemen all up and down this draft. I'm talking about there are talented offensive linemen all up and down. So the trenches, I think, on both sides of the ball are really going to be improved. And, like I said, as much as I would love the quarterback conversation and stuff to kind of die down some, it'd be ridiculous to really expect or to think that the quarterback situation is not going to be mainly what's talked about, because it is so important. It could indicate such a drastic change for where the Chicago Bears are going as far as like the name being there. Now, even if the Bears do end up trading the number 1 overall pick, I still think that that's such a big story that's why you're seeing kind of the focus in both the national media with Bears pundits and podcasters and things like that. Because listen, the quarterback is the most important piece on the board right now, right? But the offensive line, I definitely think the Bears will address. Like I said, if you look at most mocks, it has the Bears really addressing that offensive line. Even, some of the free agent conversation and talk, the offensive line, defensive line are very high up on that conversation piece as well. So fret you're not there, my good brother Darius from Dallas. I think that the Bears will be addressing the offensive line. And as far as, continue to build that thing out, yeah, that's a mindset that we have, but we got to see if that's going to be, because the Bears could do both, right? There's not a situation where it's either or. The Bears could draft a quarterback and still continue building out the offensive line and things like that, because if they do draft a quarterback, they're probably going to be moving Justin Fields, which they're then going to get a pick back that's probably going to go to a pick that's going to address the offensive line in a way, or a weapon or something like that. So I think that those are important things either way, and I would hope, like, if the Bears walk away from this offseason period and don't really address the offensive line, man, that would be a huge mistake on the decision making of Ryan Poles. But I think with bringing Shane Waldron in, I think we're going to see a lot of attention paid to that offensive side of the ball. The big money free agents may still go to the defensive side of the ball, but we're going to address that offensive side, and that's going to be weapons. That's going to be the offensive line. There may even be another running back in a case like that. We'll see what happens with that. So big questions are in front of the Chicago Bears when it comes down to it, but I think the offensive line is going to be addressed. But great voicemail for Darius. Thank you for leaving that, brother. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number 1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. I love you guys, man. And let's hope that we don't get any more social media drama around our Chicago Bears. Now, I'm saying that in watch is going to be just post extravaganza. But I'll see you guys the next time. Love you guys, man. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.